Hey everybody, welcome back to Artists on Lockdown this week. My name is Ron Onesti from that rock and roll heaven, the Arcada Theater in St. Charles, Illinois, right outside of Chicago. And we have our Hangin' Bangin' legendary drummers that are co-hosting with me, of course, as they do every week. And, you know, this week we do not have our younger brother with us, Vinny Appice from Black Sabbath, from Last in Line, from Dio. Every week he's here, but he's got a prior commitment. He won't be with us tonight, but who will be with me co-hosting tonight? You want to talk legends, you want to talk icons, one of the nicest guys on the planet, and one of the most respected musicians in the business. Bring him on, Carmine Appice from Vanilla Fudge.
Hey,
Hi, Carm.
hey, man, how you doing, bro? Where's my sticks? There we go.
There's the
I gotta have my sticks here. I gotta have my sticks. Yeah.
So our brother Vinny, where's he at this week?
Yeah, he had a prior commitment that he had. He forgot that he had it, and he told me like a few days ago. I said, you're going to miss a lot of fun because we have the coolest kick-ass guests tonight.
Well, I tell you, man, you know, me personally, for what I do, as I say every week, being with you, being with Vinny is an honor for me to be, you know, in the midst of greatness, in the midst of legends and icons such as yourselves. When it comes to the rock and roll of the 70s, especially when it comes to real heavy metal rockers. And I got to say, as controversial as this guy has been, and that ain't no secret, but when he comes by the Arcada theaters, he comes everywhere else. This is all about the music. What a musical show he gives us. Let's bring him on. A huge guest tonight on Artists on Lockdown, Hangin' Bangin' with Ted Nugent.
Ted Nugent!
Ron, Carmine, I'll tell you, Vinny might have had an alternative commitment, but so do I. But I dropped everything to rock out with the Arcada God Ron and with the drum God Carmine. You sons of bitches deserve me. Happy clusterfuck 2020, gentlemen.
Wow.
Yeah, dude.
Listen,
Yeah.
we could end right now. That alone was enough for a show.
Well, Ron, I got to tell you, Carmine, you know, I consider us not just musical cohorts with the ultimate all-American shit kicker rhythm and blues rock and roll celebration that, Carmine, you represent so perfectly, but there are music lovers like Ron who really, really celebrate the heart and soul of the greatest music in the world. And when we come to the Arcada Theater there in Illinois, there are such flames coming out of my ass that people bring marshmallows just to roast them in between songs. So, Ron, thank you for celebrating killer music. You always have the best time. To be here with Carmine, my old drum buddy, is a real honor. God bless you guys.
Well, you know what? It's our honor, Carmine. I mean, this is your brother here. You've got history.
Yeah.
You've got history.
Well, I know Ted since 1967 or 8, somewhere around there. And then we did a lot of stuff together. We had a management company manage us together, Philly, which is the Gangster Managers. And actually, Philly, I believe Philly told you to call it Ted Nugent and the Amboy Dukes.
Yeah, actually, it was the mob boss that gave me the direction because but actually, I remember it like literally being clean and sober for 72 years. All my stuff really works good. And I remember the Amboy Dukes opened in 1967. It was either late summer, early fall. And the Amboy Dukes opened up at the Toledo Sports Arena for Vanilla Fudge. And we were in awe of the musicianship and the musical authority, not just because they're a great band and they put their heart and soul into every lick, every song, every gig, every night, but that they made a hit record out of my heroes, the Motown Funk Brothers, with the Supreme of You Keep Me Hanging On. So there was a confluence of musical reverence and appreciation, and we were gaga to watch these guys. But, you know, with Carmine and Vinny and Tim and Mark, I mean, the musical authority was just, it was an orgy of oozing grooves and dynamics and musical adventure. So that imprinted on us, and it had a huge influence on the Amboy Dukes to stretch out and to make sure that we're really tight, like the heroes of the Motown Funk Brothers, which Carmine and Tim personified.
Yeah. Well, let's take a step back here because, you know, what's really, really big, obviously, for us, and it's I don't want to say it's a little known fact, Ted, because it's a well-known fact, but we don't celebrate enough here in Chicago how much of a Chicago guy you are originally.
Well, yeah, I was born and raised in Detroit. It was the It was the arsenal of democracy following World War II. And there really was a shit kicker spirit, really a samurai, be the best that you can be. And the musical competition in Detroit in 1960, 1961, 62 was absolutely volatile. I mean, you had to be a stone cold motherfucker to get anybody's attention, which means a lot of practice, a lot of dedication. But in my band won the Battle of the Bands, the Lourdes, and we opened up for the Supremes and the Bull Brummels.
Oh, man.
Come on. Ted Nugent opened for the Supremes.
Yes, wow. I was on stage with the Motown Orchestra and the Funk Brothers. That's why I'm like this. That's why I'm completely musically hyper. But then in 65, after my band won the Battle of the Bands and we were recording, I just turned 16, and my dad got transferred just outside of Chicago. So I had to leave my band, the Lourdes, with just killer, dedicated musicians, highly influenced by Mitch Ryder and the Detroit Wheels. Mitch, Jimmy McCarty on guitar, Joe Kubrick on rhythm, and the ultimate Johnny Banajic on drums, and Earl Elliott on bass. I mean, I remember these guys. I'll tell you what they wore. I'll tell you what amplifiers they had. I'll tell you whether they had straight chords or curly chords. I remember everything because I was obsessed with the music power. But when we went to Chicago, I saw that the Shadows of Night were the #1 band, but they played everything really nice, really cute,
very
really
polite,
like the
very
record.
polite. Yeah, polite.
Really constrained. I mean, they were a great band, but GLORIA.
And they played phonetically too.
Coming
Yes.
to your door. Oh, shut the fuck up, man. You got to have some drive. The bass drum doesn't go boom, cha, boom, cha, boom. Check. It goes boom 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 cha boom boom ba boom ba cha boom boom ba cha boom boom boom. I knew Carmine Appice before I knew Carmine Appice. So when we got to Chicago, I literally used the name Amboy Dukes, which was a band in Detroit when I was a little boy that had broke up by 1961. And I liked the name of it, so we used the name Amboy Dukes. I had no idea what it meant. But I guess you could say, Ron and Carmine, the rest is history. Because in 2020, my musical orgy is more exciting, more fun, more dynamic. I got Greg Smith on bass and Jason Hartless on drums, so I'm the luckiest damn guitar player in the world.
And, that's what I tell people, Ted. Obviously when we talk about you, there's all kinds of conversation about you and your music. And I tell people, I'm saying, if you haven't seen Ted Nugent, especially in the last few years that you've been coming to the Arcada, 3 guys on stage, all amped up, 2 hours of solid rock and roll. You're like that Bose commercial. The guy sitting back and the wind is blowing. That's what you're like. That's what it's like at a Ted Nugent show.
Fat people come to my concerts in the front row just to lose weight. I just pound off the blubber, man. It just eliminates the blubber. But again, Carmine is the right guy to have here because before we really knew, we didn't really know much as kids. There was no British invasion. We were already influenced by Chuck Berry and Bo Diddley and Little Richard and Jerry Lee Lewis and James Brown and Wilson Pickett and Motown. So we had the ultimate influence that I hope everybody knows that the British invasion was inspired by all those American artists I just mentioned.
Yeah. For sure.
The Beatles album had Motown songs, Chuck Berry songs, Bo Diddley songs. Yeah. So we were way ahead of what became this British invasion thing, and what Carmine and what Tim and what Mark and Vinny were doing as the Vanilla Fudge. It really was unprecedented. Carmine, what was the name of the band that wore all the white suits that always played the Action House? What was the name of that band? Remember, it was like
The Illusion?
The Illusion, yes, The Illusion.
Yeah.
Wow. That's a couple years ago.
There was not just killer tight music with adventurous arrangements, but there was a presentation where you knew you had to entertain the shit out of people or you wouldn't be competitive. And I learned that from the gods of music. James Brown, obviously, huge in all those guys. And when I saw the Vanilla Fudge, I went, yeah, we're on the right track, man. You got to kick maximum ass if you're going to play this kind of music.
And that's amazing too when you think about it, Ted. When you're coming to Chicago, the Midwest, all about, at that time, all about the garage rock movement, right?
Yeah.
Shadows of Night, Buckingham's, Ides of March.
I'm in the garage right now, by the way. I'm a garage band in 2020. This is my garage we're in. I'm surrounded by ammunition, machine guns, tired dogs, bows and arrows, and a lot of knives and a lot of guitars. I have a whole arsenal of Gibson Birdlands and Paul Reed Smith and Les Pauls, and I have mountains of amps that I experiment with every day because I'm still driven by that unlimited musical adventure. I'm sure Carmine plays all the time.
Yeah.
Love this shit.
I'm in the studio here, Ted. There's my drums. Yeah.
Well, you have redefined garage rock, Ted. You totally have redefined it. You know what? Let me take another step back real quick here, because again, when you come by us, you know, it's obviously it's wonderful from a musical experience, but you know, there's so many personal aspects of when Ted Nugent comes to the Chicago area. You know, as you know, and a lot of people may or may not know that. I mean, you actually went to high school. Yep. Here in Chicago area, St. Viator, a little bit of Fremd, and then Palatine. Your mom lived there for 28 years. I mean, Ma Nugent, I'm sorry, more important, more popular, more rock and roll than you, Ted, was Ma Nugent. God rest her soul.
You know, the Nugents are blessed with a lot of piss and vinegar, a lot of hyper positive energy, and I owe a lot of that to my mom. My mom was a ball of fire. She was a funny musical maniac, and she would go and see Carmine and his different outfits. She would go and see all my friends in their bands. She wrote for the Illinois Entertainer a Dear Ma Nuge column. She gave rock and roll advice to the unsuspecting civilian public. So there's really a family effort there. And I consider Carmine a family member. All my musicians, I've been surrounded, you know this, Ron. Yep. My bandmates have been the top 1% of musical heroes that have ever walked the earth. I could go down the list of my musicians, my drummers, my bass players, my vocalists, my guitarists. I've been surrounded by the best. We got Tommy Aldridge coming on. Tommy was on my show last week. We got Mick Brown. We had KJ Knight. I've played with Chad Smith, Anton Fig. I mean, I've had the best musicians in the world, and Carmine is a perfect example of that. I won't settle for any less, by the way.
Yeah. Hey, well, Ted, I got something to say. You remember when we were in Hawaii? We played Hawaii.
Yes, we were in the middle of a 27 gig run. 27 gigs in a row, Ron.
We spent less than 24 hours there. We went on stage, we played, and in the middle, I think of one of the songs, Bound and Gagged, or one of those, all of a sudden you disappeared off the stage. You jumped off the stage in front of the stage. And I'm thinking, what the hell's going on? So we all stopped playing, Derek St. Holmes, myself. We walk up in front, and you're beating the hell out of this guy, punching the hell out of this guy. Remember that?
Yes, I do. There was a great big sumo wrestler. Now, I'm not that tough of a guy. I can handle my own. I'm from Detroit. But there was a huge, big Hawaiian sumo wrestling guy that was spitting on people and knocking people around. And there were some, skinny, pretty girls that were getting hurt.
And he gave you the finger.
He was giving us the finger, and he was spitting up on the stage. And I tried to dodge it, but I went, wait a minute. Part of my job description isn't dodging loogies. I better fix this son of a bitch. So I literally took off my Gibson Birdland, and I dove in the audience and got this guy in a chokehold and just pounded the living shit out of him. And then the security guards lifted me up and put me back on stage, and we kept going where we kept going.
Didn't miss a beat. Huh?
And then the next morning, right, we left to go to Alaska.
Anchorage.
We spent less than 24 hours in Honolulu. I remember being on the plane watching all the palm trees go by. I said, I can't believe we're leaving. That was amazing.
I had the greatest booking agents in the world all my life. In fact, I have to comment that all my cohorts, Doug Banker and Linda Peterson, certainly Dennis Arfa and Adam Cornum and Dave
Adam Kornfeld is the best.
All my cohorts in this business are just the most dedicated professionals. And they would always look at the gigs that were coming up, and they'd say, well, we have these offers. And I went, well, take them. And he went, well, that would be 10 in a row. And I go, what's your problem? You're not going to be there. I'm going to be there. Take them. Carmine can do it. And then they went, well, we have 8 more. I went, book them.
Let's go.
We can get from Honolulu to Anchorage. I know we can book the flight.
Hey, yeah, but what about the night before Honolulu? El Paso, Texas.
I can't believe you remember those.
I remember this. I have the book. I have the tour book,
the itinerary,
the tour schedule, the itinerary. But it was a book, and I have it somewhere in this room, in this guest house here. That's my studio.
Yeah, I got to tell you, Ron, Carmine's a perfect example with Dave Caswini on bass and Derek St. Holmes on vocals and guitar. Every one of my outfits in that period, the album, which you show on your T-shirt there, I couldn't be more proud of the music, the performances, the piss and vinegar, the attitude, and certainly that musical authority that Dave and Carmine and Derek and all my bandmates today, I did my 6,751st concert. I went all the way back to pool parties. Parties. I included all sock hops. 6,751 last year, August 31st in Detroit. And I got to tell you, 2019, for me to be able to say that was the greatest, most gratifying, musically fun tour of my life really, really says something about the musicians that I have at my side every night. They, Carmine and everybody, Jason and Greg, every gig is, you see it at the Arcada, Ron.
Absolutely.
Every night is the most important night. In fact, I bet you would testify that our second night at the Arcada is even more intense than the first night. And I promise you, wherever we were the night after that was even more intense. We love this shit, and we love it. Who doesn't want to play Wang Dang Sweet Poontang every night? Come on.
And that's what I tell people. I mean, it is a rock and roll circus like none other. Now, what was the number of that show? You just said you played your what number show?
6,751.
Okay, so you played. So it's been a year since you've been by us. You were supposed to play just recently. Obviously, we're moving that. But our show, it was a great thing because I got this, Carmine. In my dressing room, I got this big clock that people have signed.
I remember
Clock
that.
Strikes 10. A Cheap Trick signed it. I asked Ted to sign it, and he said, at first he told me, he goes, Ron, I don't really sign stuff like that. I said, Ted, I'll tell you what, if I can come up with a number, if I guess it right, will you sign it? And he said, give it a shot. 6535, 6,535th show was at the Arcada Theater. He goes, how the hell did you know that? I said, please sign my clock, sir. And he did.
I did, yeah. But we do keep track of that stuff. I remember when I was growing up in Detroit, I had a little band called the Royal High Boys in 1957. I wasn't even 10 years old. And we played at the school dances, and I played at a malt shop, a place called Walt's Malt Shop on Warwick Avenue in Grand River in Detroit. And I think I was paid a chocolate malt that night. But I went back and counted all those sock hops and pool parties and all those school dances, and fraternity parties and sorority parties. And Carmine will tell you, especially that run when he's talking about El Paso to Honolulu to Anchorage, when we're on the road, we want to play. Nights off. Nowadays, we don't go out and do 300 shows a year. We go out and do probably 50, maybe 60 shows a year, because I think we can all agree the greatest philosopher of all times was Dirty Harry when he said a good man knows his limitations. So every summer I go out and I'll do 40, 50, 60 gigs. And then the hunting season and my family time is real, real important to me. Yeah. So it's about pace. And I am 72. Carmine, how old are you? You got a couple
years. 73. I'm 73.
Unbelievable, you two.
There you go. Well, I respect my elders.
It's unbelievable. Between you two, there's almost 150 years of rock and roll history.
Oh, I promise you, regardless of our age, there's a 1,000 millennia of rock and roll history coming out of our ass. I promise you that.
Yeah. So, Carmine, you worked with Ted. Obviously, you're talking about this album right here, Ted Nugent. It was the seventh studio album, 1982. Did you play on another? Were you on Penetrator also?
I did some background vocals on Penetrator.
Right.
Actually,
just because we were in the same neck of the woods, and I said, "Come on, make some noise with me, pal."
Yeah, we did that. But
go ahead, Carm.
Yeah, but that's it. I mean, but playing that first album was awesome. That's what introduced me to Pasha Studios, which I went in there after we did that album, and I changed the whole drum sound to get a much better drum sound. So I wasn't happy with the drum sound we were getting in there, but it was a lot of fun. I mean, we did. When I was still with Rod Stewart, before I got to Ted, we did the American Music Awards together. And I remember
That had
Ted
to
coming
be-
up to me. That
Oh
was
my
like
God.
1981. Ted
About
came
that,
up to me. Hey, Carmine, when you're done playing this wimpy rock and you want to play a man's rock, give me a call. So when I left Rod, first call I made was to Ted.
Yeah.
And I spent, I don't know, we spent a week or two at your house.
That's
When
right.
I slept in the room that had all his hunting trophies in it, you know, all the heads
These
of deer.
dead animals, lots of dead
all
animals.
these animals. So I woke up in the middle of the night one time and I felt all these eyes looking at me. You know, I was like, whoa.
There's
But
much spirit in the Nugent preparatory procedures of getting into my rock and roll band. You must have much spirit of the great spirit of the wild.
Without a doubt. Without a doubt. And remember when I was going to go hunting with you and you told me what you're going to do?
Yeah.
I said, hey, Ted, he says, I'm going hunting tomorrow. I said, maybe I'll go with you. He goes, let me tell you what I'm going to be doing first. I'm going to lay down in a bunch of wet leaves with my khakis on. I'm going to just wait there for something to come by with my bow and arrow. Maybe I'll be under that wet stuff for 2 hours. I said, you know what? I'll stay home and have breakfast.
Went out his bathroom and had another coffee. No, I love my hunting. I think there's a primal energy to my music, and I think it's the fact that I am in touch with God's miraculous renewable creation, and I hunt and I kill my own food, and I balance my own herds, and I have a beautiful ranch and a farm that is a wildlife paradise. And you have to kill the surplus every year. That's called food. And I donate literally tons of venison to soup kitchens and homeless shelters every year, because you either kill the deer with your Buick and get destroyed, or I get to shoot it with my bow and arrow and feed hungry people. So I think I've got my priorities straight.
That's a better way to do it.
Yeah.
Now, let me ask you, talk about, that kind of a life. I mean, Carmine, you actually toured with Ted in the early 80s to support this album here. I mean, and you touched on it a little bit, but I mean, we all think that Ted Nugent on the road, and let's pretend Ted's not listening. We all know, we got this perception of Ted Nugent on and off stage. What was his off stage persona like? Him, the band, backstage, that whole experience.
You're seeing it right now.
Yeah, there's not two of me. This is it. This is all I got.
All that energy, all that thing. We had some fun. We really had some good old American fun. Like I don't know if you remember this one, Ted, when me and you would be riding in the car, and in front of us was Derek and Dave, because Vinny and maybe the tour manager, I forgot his name.
Yeah, Bobby Quant. Bobby.
And you come up with 60 miles an hour, you come up to the back of them and you tap their bumper. You remember that stuff? And I'm going,
I certainly do. Except I've got to clarify something. It wasn't 60 miles an hour. I promise you that. We really had fun on the road. And quite honestly, it's amazing, if not an outright miracle, that I'm here to even discuss it. Because when we got in a rent-a-car, by the way, there's only 3 things that you really have a legitimate fear of in life, and that'd be a coiled rattlesnake close by, a sow grizzly bear with cubs, and Ted Nugent in a rent-a-car.
And I was there.
But we'd be hauling ass, and Bobby Quant would be up in front with Derek and Dave. We'd usually get a Lincoln Town cars, and I swear, Ron, I'd come right up and I'd kiss the bumper doing a high rate of speed, and we had total control the whole time.
Literally banging the back of
Oh yeah, the first time I was with Ted and we did that, I didn't know what to think. I said, this guy is crazy, Ted. It was fun, but it happened more than once. Let's put it that way.
But it was always good, clean fun. I promise you.
It was good, clean fun.
Not very legal, but clean.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. Well, that says we could do a whole nother show on that statement for sure.
Yeah.
Hey, again, back to Chicago. This is what I'd like to talk about, because these are my own personal experiences. Sure. Seeing you at the World Series of Rock 38 Special, REO Speedwagon, Journey, which was interesting that day about Journey. Aerosmith, of course. Robert Fleischman was with Journey for this one gig, basically, right? Was on that gig. Instead of Steve Perry. But that whole World Series of Rock seemed like it was kind of a little bit of shrouded with some controversy as well. Was it any part of, were you part of the controversy at all? Or was it straight rock and roll music for you at the World Series of Rock?
Ron,
I'm such a damn simple guy. And Carmine will tell you, I'm focused on getting to the gig early. I'm focused on making sure that the equipment sounds and is set up perfectly. We've always had the best crew in the world, a big salute. And Ron, you know this. You watch
Absolutely.
my guys. The best crew, the most dedicated, conscientious, musically driven crew in the world. Work ethic from hell, just phenomenal. So I've never paid attention to gossip. I've always been controversial because I actually believe in radical stuff like God, family, country, Constitution, freedom, and the real radical thing, law and order. So I never got into the backstage dopey stuff. And when there's a controversy, I probably am totally oblivious to it because I'm focused on my guitar tone, the performance of my band, and the sound of my band. I've always put, and Carmine always has. He mentioned a moment ago about the drum sound. The drum sound he got on the Nugent album was spectacular, but Carmine Appice wants to do even better, so he went back to the studio and tweaked it for future recordings. So I wasn't aware of any controversy. To this day, I mean, if people want to piss and moan, I remember sometimes there would be an argument between management, who's going to close the show, who's going to be the headliner. When we're co-headlining, Aerosmith and I co-headline, ZZ Top and I co-headline. And I always said, let them try to follow me. Give it your best shot.
That's tough, man. I wouldn't want to.
Care about that. I got X amount of time on stage, and Ron, you know, and Carmine and everybody watching knows, when I get out there, I'm Bruce Lee making music. I am the samurai. I am so focused on delivering these killer songs. I love my songs. I love my riffs. I love the bass and drums. What Derek and Rob Grange and the great Cliff Davies would do to every show was nothing short of musical supremacy. And I know I'm bragging, but I couldn't be more proud of what they did. So if there's pissing and moaning going on, I could give a rat's ass about the pissing and moaning. I made sure a few things. Greatest guitar tone in the world. The band is tighter than hell. And I got all the prettiest girls. These are the only things that matter.
Well, I can attest to the professionalism on stage. All kidding aside, I mean, you guys get there and it's tight and on time and there's no screwing around. And again, solid music. It's a great product that you give people. It really, really is. You know, Ted, obviously, I mean, look at you. You're a freaking maniac in all the positive ways with regards to music and your persona. And very independent. I mean, you're all about Ted Nugent. That's great. But so what made you, one of my favorite projects is Damn Yankees. Great project. Oh my gosh, I wish that could go for 20, 30, 40 years, a reunion tour, whatever. But with Jack and with Tommy, I mean, what made you join something, since you're so you know, what made you join something that is more of a group aspect?
Well, yes, you know, you have to be the best that you can be as an individual if you want to be an asset to a band. And even though I dropped the name Amboy Dukes based on Phil Basile's recommendation, because I was going through a lot of different musical changes, musician changes, because some guys show up on time and some guys put their fire into it every night, and some guys don't. And the guys that didn't, I had to get rid of, because I have a musical dream that is my sound, this sound of music that I have created. And Rob put his heart and soul into it. Carmine, Derek, Cliff, David, everybody, Jason and Greg, all my musicians, I could name all of them. They put their heart and soul into creating this music. So even though it says Ted Nugent, because it wasn't really legitimate to call it the Amboy Dukes anymore, because there was a kind of a rotation of musicianship. So even though it's my name, it's always been a band. I wouldn't have a great guy like Derek St. Holmes in the band if I didn't value and want his advice and his input. And when Carmine was in the band, you know, I'd have a basic drum approach to the song, but I go, be Carmine, do an Appice, a blow up on this baby for me. So when John Kalodner called after my 1988 tour of Europe, I came home. It was a phenomenal tour. I was absolutely stone drunk on musical outrage. I was inebriated on funk. It was a wonderful tour, but I respected John Kalodner. He's kind of a guru in the industry.
Yep,
and he said, "No, Ted, you know, I've always watched you and I've always watched Styx, and I've always thought that you and Tommy Shaw could, you know, maybe collaborate."
Oh my God, you sound just like him.
And I so value his opinion. I just finished a tour that kicked my ass. I was getting ready for the hunting season, which is a sacred time for me. It's when I charge my batteries. It's when I balance the herd and I get my food. So I said, Johnny, you know, I've always admired Tommy Shaw. The guy's got so much soul. He's a Motown funk brother. His guitar playing is world class. His vocals are a gem. His songwriting capability, his presentation on stage. So I went, well, that son of a bitch deserves me. Let's see what we can do. So long story short, he and I got in a little rehearsal room that was owned by Bud Prager with a foreigner in New York City on an October day. And within, I'm not exaggerating, within seconds, we started beating out some licks. And he would play this chord pattern, and I'd do some little trills and little grunts like I do my kung, 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 kung kind of thing. And I can take a regular chord pattern that someone would arpeggio, and I'll put in my arpeggio, and I get that staccato percussive counter rhythm thing going. And Tommy's eyes lit up, my eyes lit up, and we literally made a song without saying a word. I'm watching his hands, he's watching my mind, and I went, this is a motherfucker. And it was Come Again. It was the song Come Again.
Really?
And so Calandra said, this is really happening. What about Jack Blades from Night Ranger? Jack Blades from Night Ranger, he's got a lot of the same kind of shit you guys got. So we called Jack, and then Michael Cardelloni, just a god of thunder on drums, he rounded out the Horsome Foursome. And of course, the rest was history. 5 million records and 3 monster tours later. I couldn't be more proud of everything we did with the damn Yankees. Great guys, great brothers, great work ethic monsters. And they're like Carmine and all of his cohorts. They lived to make killer music, and we did. And I'm not writing off that Carmine and I won't get together again. I bet you we will. And I won't write.
I'm waiting right here in the studio.
I'm waiting.
Tracks for the new
I've
tracks.
got guitar licks. I've got guitar licks that are
Send them out.
They're rude. My guitar licks get more rude by the hour. They're just sexy animal breed. In fact, when I play my guitar, my dogs just start humping things.
Yeah.
Come on.
It's funny. I have a dog that's humping things too when I play these drums here. It's really awesome, aggressive. Everything you love. Everything you love. I played
this. I don't know if you can even hear this stuff over this. I got a special app on my. Can you hear that?
Oh, yeah,
man.
Well, I got a lick that's called Detroit Muscle. And I played it for Carmine the other day. And you tell me, Ron, that Carmine didn't kill this. And it goes.
Come on, Carmine.
Yes.
Wow.
You would absolutely crucify that.
I would kill that one. I would kill that.
So let's announce the tour right now. Ted Nugent with Carmine. Let's get Vinny on there too. Let's get a couple of other friends. What a great jam that would be.
I got so many killer new songs. I am just horny as an animal to get in the studio. And I suppose it's going to have to be with Carmine. You know, Jason Hartlick, my drummer today from Detroit, is just a monstrosity. And he so admires Carmine. But it's about time. I had Johnny Bonangic on a recent album with me. I've done stuff with the greatest drummers that ever lived. But I think it's time for Carmine and I get to.
Let's go with the real drum sound. With the real drum sound, dude.
Yeah, I bet, man.
Kick-ass drum sound, yeah.
So, all right, Ted, so when you come by me again, I think we got you scheduled, I think in June, we rescheduled you. Carmine, I'm flying you out.
I love the Arcada. The people there are foaming at the mouth. And the great thing about my tours nowadays is, you know, you mentioned in the beginning, I'm controversial. Well, I'm controversial because I stand up for the good stuff. I'm controversial because I believe in self-defense. I'm controversial because I'm on the board of directors of the most important civil rights organization in the world, the National Rifle Association, which stands up for the human instinct and right from God to defend ourselves. If you're against that, you're a complete idiot. So that's why I'm controversial. But when I come and play concerts every year forever, you know who shows up? People who love killer music.
It's all about the music.
About personal lifestyles or personal choices. They come to hear a killer band play killer licks and put their heart and soul into a performance. And that's what I'm surrounded by every day. So on this Carmine Hangin' and Bangin', I would like to say, thank you, music lovers around the world. And people come from all around the world because I only tour in America now. Thank you, because I'm a music lover, you're a music lover, and we love killer music.
And you know what? That's what I tell people. That's what I tell people. Because the comments are, well, his politics, this, that. I said, listen, that's not what this is about. His shows are about music, and it's some of the best music you'll ever hear. And if you're a real rock and roller, if you're a true rock and roll fan, you will love this show. So
guaranteed.
Let me ask you, Ted, who is somebody that you haven't played with that you would have loved to be on stage with, just hanging and banging yourself?
Geez, there's so many. I've jammed with Billy Gibbons and with Jimi Hendrix. I played bass for Chuck Berry and Bo Diddley. I've been up on stage with all of ZZ Top and Heart and Journey and Sammy Hagar and Van Halen, Carmine Appice, all the Brian May, John Entwistle. I've got to jam with the greatest musicians that have, Rick Derringer, Johnny and Edgar Winter. I've had jam sessions, Stevie Winwood. I've just been so lucky. It's indescribable. I had Chad Smith come up on stage with me, another Detroit god of thunder on the drum, just an insane drummer. And he said, he grabbed me by the shirt and he went, Nugent, I have to play Motor City Madhouse and Stranglehold with you before I die. And I went, tonight's the night, motherfucker. So he got up there, and Carmine, he played both songs.
He's great. He's great.
Hit for hit, drum lick for drum lick of the originals, and it was really impressive. But I got to tell you, I've jammed a little with Joe Bonamassa. I've jammed with Anton Fig. I jammed with Steve Jordan from the original Letterman band. So, you know, I guess if he lives long enough, I'm so inspired by everything that Keith Richards does. I would love to share a stage or just a little backstage jam session with Keith Richards because he's so greasy. He's so
that's the word.
Nasty. When I play Cat Scratch Fever, it's basically a bastardization of honky tonk. It's just honky tonk is in everything. Well, I instead of just the notes, I went.
Yeah, man.
And that is so greasy. I would think that
is greasy.
Ooze would qualify me to play with Keith Richards.
Yeah, man.
Well, I tell you what, when that lick starts, I got to tell you, it's like complete mayhem, as crazy because nobody sits in your shows. That's for sure. Everybody stand up. Every song is like out of control. But when that lick starts, it's mayhem. It's complete mayhem.
And stop. You want to talk mayhem? Stop and think. And Carmine will appreciate this as a percussion god.
Oh, look at that.
The whole Stranglehold Ted Nugent style with the Birdland, that's just it's has such a percussiveness to it. You can hear all the hits, all the pick against the string, but the Stranglehold thing that has so many counter rhythms. It's almost like a guitar part with tambourines, maracas, and a hi-hat all at the same time, because the right hand is playing all the variable counter rhythms. And I mean, the whole it's like a rip-off of Bo Diddley, where everything is. get all that kick.
Yeah, man.
And I love that shit, man.
Hey, Ted, tell him the story of when you were telling Cliff how to play the fills.
But yeah, this is a great example. I was already so influenced by Carmine because he invented the I mean, it's just like this. It's like a suppository of rhythms. I just love that shit.
And he's even better when he does it on the drums.
So with Cliff Davies, he was a jazz drummer with this great band called If. I mean, just a virtuoso. He could do anything. Some of the guys were going, well, I don't know. The jazzy If stuff, I don't know if it'll translate with this grinding Detroit Ted Nugent crank. And I went, he'll do it. Watch him do it. So when I start Stranglehold, I would walk through it, and I have a vision for what all the instruments should do because I look at my song as my baby. It's my art delivery. And Derek takes the vocals and he just Derek St. Holmes them. He just unbelievable. Yeah. Rob Grange would take the basic approach and just perform it phenomenally. Such tightness, such throttle. So when we're doing Stranglehold, I'm talking to Cliff. I go, I'm going to do 2 of those licks, and then then I want you guys blah, and then I want you to come in like Carmine. I go boom, back, and I want that hi-hat going. None of this slash. I want everything's got to be, what are those, 16th notes or 32nd?
Yeah, 16,
wherever they are.
16
I
notes.
want that pulse. And he did it perfect. Stranglehold was take 1, including that guitar solo.
Come on. One take?
Take 1. And the guitar solo, I played stuff I had never played before. And when we were done, I went, oh, that was a motherfucker. And I went and listened. I said, I was planning on overdubbing a solo. I just did the solo live to show him where the dynamics, where the build was before the bolero. But when we listened back, I went, I'm going to have to learn that guitar solo. That's a motherfucker. Because I never played, I do a lot of stabs, but then I went. I had never played those things, and the whole.
Wow, man!
I had never done those specific licks before, so that was a guide lead guitar solo, and we kept it, and I had to go learn it.
Ted, you said something earlier.
You didn't know we were getting guitar lessons today, right?
No.
Unbelievable. I am just speaking up myself.
Well, I love that. I love those licks. I love playing those exploratory, unpredictable. It's almost like Yusef Lateef meets Junior Walker and the All-Stars on a sax more than a guitar approach. I like to think that my solos should be, what would Aretha Franklin sing here? What would a killer vocalist sing here? And that's what I end up playing.
And again, that's just amazing to me, just how much, as we touched on at the beginning of the interview, just how much the Motown sound and feel and funk aspect has such an effect on a rock and roller like you. Even to this day.
The Vanilla Fudge, what was their first hit?
Oh, well, that's for sure.
One take also. That was the first take as well.
Doesn't surprise me.
Everything. The vocals, everything. One take mono.
Unbelievable. I got a Ted Nugent. I was told about this Rock and Roll Fantasy Camp Masterclass. I'm doing a Ted Nugent Masterclass guitar thing coming up. I think you can get the information on my tednugent.com.
I'm doing one with Vinny.
That'll be awesome.
Yeah. Me and Vinny are doing one together in November.
I'm sure every drummer in the world will tune into that one.
Yeah, it'd be fun.
Ted, you touched on a little bit earlier. You got with all this quarantine crap. Have you been working on some new material?
I've got so many new songs. I got a song called "Skinny Bitches" that's just a beautiful love song.
Give me a little bit. Give me a little bit. Just a little bit. That's piqued my interest.
I got so many different licks. I mean, here's one called "Just Leave Me Alone." It goes.
Seems to happen every Saturday night. All the crazy boys really wanna fight. Yeah. Don't waste my time, just leave me alone. Just leave me alone. Just leave me alone. Don't waste my time, just leave me alone.
Yeah, man.
So is that a great fucking lick or what?
Is that going to make it to an album? Is that going to make it to a live show?
Yeah, I'm going to play on the freaking album. Come on.
All of the above. I got so many licks like that. It's just, I come down here. I go hunting every day. I got these dogs that they need to chew on a squirrel at least once a day. So I hunt a lot. The duck season's coming on. We've been shooting doves. I went to a pheasant ranch and we shot some pheasants for dinner. And the dogs just have the time of their life. Plus, I manage all my land. I get on the tractor and plant food plots for the wildlife. It's a nature healing orgy in the Nugent household. But then after the morning of doing outdoor stuff and cutting firewood, planting trees, putting in crops, working with the dogs, I come in here every day. And I'm so fresh after outdoor Aboriginal things. I'm like a Natty Bumppo meets Davy Crockett outdoors. And so when I come in, it's all fresh. I get the guitar and I want to make things happen. So I don't think about it. If you think about it, you'll play country music and then you want to turn it down.
That's right.
It play pop music. So I think that I'm keeping at my old age of 72, I'm keeping that primal urge, that tooth, fang, and claw nature, that wolf, that grizzly bear, that athletic deer that I try to get close to with my bow and arrow. There's a primal scream in my music that has to be out of body. You can't think about it or it'll sound stupid. I unleash these licks as a kid in a garage with his first amp. That's how I approach it I don't approach it every day. That's just how it happens every day. So I will be in the studio and I've got killer songs and I can't wait to capture them.
And we can't wait to hear them. I can't believe I'm going to ask this question. You gotta pardon me. You gotta pardon me and excuse me, but I'm getting to ask this question. Where are the loincloths?
Ron, I ate the fucking loincloths, okay? Enough garlic and butter, I'm telling you, they were delicious. Was that adorable? I mean, who doesn't have fun with a Ted Nugent career between riding the buffalo on stage, shooting flaming arrows into Saddam Hussein's balls, and swinging out on a rope with a loincloth? Am I adorable or what?
Well, 2 out of 3 ain't bad, Ted. I don't know about the loincloth. I'm not going to admit to that. Maybe deep down, but I'm not going to admit to it. Is there somebody out today, rockers that are out, just some of these younger guys, new bands, that's really impressed you? It's like, you know what? They got that stuff. Because a lot of the influence of these new artists and these new, they still have Vanilla Fudge influence, Led Zeppelin influence. I'm sure a lot of Ted Nugent influence. Is somebody out there that impresses you?
There's very few. I think there's Greta Van Fleet from Michigan, of all places.
Oh, yeah. I mean, everybody talks about that.
I think they've got that piss and vinegar. They've got the original defiant middle finger music that Chuck Berry and Little Richard created, and that Carmine and I continue to carry forward. Because and God bless my buddies Blake Shelton and Toby Keith and all these successful country guys, but I can't stomach that music. I mean, it's just so dickless. You know, by the way,
Oh, man.
I can't play country music because I still have a dick.
Okay.
I just can't stand
Cat scratch fever.
It's gentle and it's like, I don't know, it's like minstrel music, like Peter, Paul, and Mary. And God bless them. They're very talented and they're very sincere.
I gotta say something about country music. You know, I was friends with Buddy Rich, the great Buddy Rich. Right?
Phenomenal man.
He was in the hospital. He was really sick. He was not dying yet, but he was very sick. So the nurse came up to him. He told me this. And he said, so, Mr. Rich, you're going to have the surgery. Are you allergic to anything? He goes, yeah, I'm allergic to country music.
Yeah. Carmine, I've never heard that story before. And I was in surgery for my knees. I had both of my knees replaced. And I swear to God, the doctor said, are you allergic to anything? And I said, country music.
Come on.
Oh, funny. I told that story so many times. Now
so Buddy Rich and I had something in common.
I can include you in that one.
You know what? I think Buddy Rich, the first name comes to mind, Ted Nugent. I don't know.
Well, I'm the only guy that could probably mouth some of Buddy Rich's drum solos because I so value that. You know, Buddy Rich and so many others in the old days.
Gene Krupa.
Gene Krupa, Sandy, what's his name?
Sandy Nelson.
Yeah, Sandy Nelson. I was raised on that stuff. But when you watch those guys play, I think it imprinted on all musicians that this doesn't come easy. This isn't going to be an occasional practice. If you want to attain that level of virtuosity and musical authority, Buddy Rich's work ethic should be the guiding light. Yeah. Gene Krupa's work ethic, Carmine Appice's work ethic. That's the clincher to make killer anything, whether you're going to be a great welder, a great teacher, a great cop, a great farmer, but a great musician. I've been celebrating on my Ted Nugent Spirit Campfire with John Brankus that the missing link to the history of great music is the unheralded work ethic of every musician I've ever known. We bust our ass. Now, I have to admit, we enjoy it so much that it doesn't become work and it's not tedious. We can't wait to see how we can create a drum roll that is impossible. And Carmine's mastered all the impossible drum rolls. And my guitar licks, I don't want to be the speed guy, though I can be. I want to be the grunt guy, the sexual pulsation guy. I want to make licks that
draw them in.
Yes, it draws me in. I want to draw me in because I love music, and I know a lot of people love music. And if I love this lick, I bet you they're going to love this lick. And I think 40 million albums later, it proves I was right.
Okay.
Well, you can really see how the drumming of Carmine and the guitar playing of Ted is really so similar because of all the syncopation, all the additional, like you described his drumming earlier, Ted. Yeah. He could do the same thing describing your guitar playing. It's so complex, but it's full because it does it, and that's again where that soulful sound comes through, as opposed to being a shredder.
Yep. Carmine, remember this lick?
Oh, yeah.
Man, oh man. I wish you were drumming here, Carm.
I know. I got the drums, but I couldn't play them.
There's a ka-ka-ka-ka-ka between every lick. And Carmine, you know, a lot of my influence comes from watching Carmine with the Vanilla Fudge because he's so active. And when you watch Carmine and all the greatest drummers, it's like the whole drum kit is like this animal tambourine, and it just makes you just want to.
All right, speaking of drum rhythms, I did a rhythm on a video. I want to play it, and you know the song I played it in. and I want to see if you can remember what it is. Okay, Ted,
Yeah.
and the people out there could chime in as well. I want to see if you know.
Name that beat.
This group. Name that beat. Okay, Ronnie, you got it queued up.
Okay, let's do this.
Was it one of the songs we recorded together? It sounds like Motor City Madhouse.
Close.
Someone's guessing Tail Gunner.
We Will Rock You?
No. It's a Cactus song.
Oh, okay. I know the song. With Rusty Day and Tim.
Yeah.
And Jimmy McCarty. Parchment Farm.
Yes.
Parchment Farm.
Wow, with 2 seconds left. At the buzzer.
Absolutely.
At
Parchment
the buzzer.
Yeah. Yeah, but
And
I
let's
did
talk
play
a
that.
moment-
I did play that on your songs as well, the up-tempo songs.
And I got to tell you, I have to take a moment to praise my number one influence. You've heard me talk about all these great artists, James Brown, Wilson Pickett, Motown Funk Brothers, certainly Sam and Dave.
I know what you're going to say.
And certainly Chuck Berry and Bo Diddley and Little Richard, all these gods that invented this music. But Carmine connected with my number one musical hero, and that's Jimmy McCarty.
Yeah.
From Mitch Ryder and the Detroit Wheels, who I still continue to communicate with. He's my buddy.
Yeah.
And he's the most underrated, underappreciated guitar god that guys like Jeff Beck and Eric Clapton and Jimmy Page and everybody literally worships Jimmy McCarty. And on my Ted Nugent Spirit Campfire coming up in the next couple of weeks, I'm going to have Jimmy McCarty on to dig into his history, and Johnny Bonangic, the original drummer.
Great. Wow.
Johnny B.
And I had Mitch Ryder on a couple months ago. I had Mitch on. And I just want everybody to know that there would not be a Ted Nugent style of guitar with a Gibson Birdland and a Fender Twin if it wasn't for me witnessing Jimmy McCarty on stage at the Walled Lake Casino, where my band, The Lourdes, opened up for Billy Lee and the Rivieras, which was Mitch Ryder's name before that. Billy Lee and the Rivers, a brand new band from Detroit called Martha and the Vandellas, and Gene Pitney. The Lourdes opened up for him, and when I saw Jimmy hit that, in fact, I'll show you the exact lick, because nobody plays this lick or a lick like this anywhere except Jimmy McCarty and me. And it's the opening to Jenny Take a Ride. And watch how my right hand is 100% Ted Nugent because of Jimmy McCarty. That's...
Oh, see, right, see, babe, what you have done. Oh, see, right, oh, see, babe, what you have done. Ah, you made me love you.
Ah, now your daddy
But you hear that, Ron? That chick, 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 and he plays all the strings. Nobody, look at the fucking goosebumps.
Right.
Nobody plays like that. Only me, because of Jimmy, because he invented it. And to this day, when he gets on stage at these clubs in Michigan, people go gaga. He's such a genius fucking guitar player.
He is.
Hey, real quick here, Ben, if you wouldn't mind, we got a couple pictures I want to ask a question on. Ben, you got that one picture of the guys? Let's see here. There was a picture of Carmine there. So tell me about this picture.
Johnny Bonangic.
And me, you.
I think that's isn't that the Romantics?
Yeah, the guy from the Romantics. The guys from the Romantics. Yeah.
And that was probably backstage in Detroit at the Cobo.
That's right. That was
Gate.
Detroit because I'm wearing my stage gear.
Yep.
Yeah.
And I had just killed something and put it on my head.
That's right.
There's probably a groupie.
There was a marmot in the back alley, so I shot it and boarded the stage.
Oh, right. This is at the Iridium when I jammed with you at the Iridium.
That's
Oh,
right.
that's you back there, Carm.
That tribute to Les Paul, and boy, did we rock our balls off that night, Carmine.
Yes, we did. Yes,
What
we
a
did.
riot. And that's when Anton Pig came up there and a great band that had backed up those guys. There's another poster from that tour. These are great memories. But by the way, I can close my eyes and just rejoice these memories anytime I want. And they're so wonderful in my lifetime. I can't thank everybody that has surrounded me. And again, Rick Derringer, what a
remember I got you in on that Rick Derringer spectacular at the Ritz Theater.
We had a riot.
Outside Johnny, wow.
Yeah, it was awesome, man. It really, really was awesome.
I've been really lucky, Ron. And, you know, it's guys like Carmine and getting to hang out with these people and to get invited to these collaborations. My God, my happiness cup runneth over. I'm just a luck. Yeah, and here it is 2020, except for the heartbreak of not being able to tour because of a communist Chinese bacterial attack. That's really what it was. We're going to regroup, come to the Arcade next summer. We're going to hit the road in summertime 2021. And all I can tell you is wear Kevlar, because Jason and Greg and I are going to be ballistic animals. We can't wait to play these fucking songs again.
Well, I can tell you, we can't wait to have you bring your music back to the Arcada. Ted, what can we say? Thank you for everything you've done since the late 50s, which I hate to, date
not
you.
Not my late 50s, not when I was in my late 50s, the late 1950s.
56, 57, 58. I mean, basically, you right there when rock and roll was born, you were right there. And it's just amazing that here in 2020, 2021, you are still rocking as hard, if not even harder than ever.
I think harder than ever. Well, thank you for celebrating it with me, because, you know, we're not alone. It's got Ron and Ted and Carmine here, and we got a lot of people watching and listening right now. But the world is wall-to-wall music lovers that know that this incredible creation of music that Carmine's responsible and all of our favorite artists have enriched our lives and inspired our lives. There's a song to every magic moment in our lives. And that's one reason I criticize country stuff, because it's almost like background music. It's almost like you turn it down because there's no real fire. They don't even have a crescendo guitar solo that's meaningful anymore. And if there is a guitar solo, it's not brought up to the proper level. Now, that might not be 100% accurate, but it's 98% accurate. It pisses me off, because there's some great country guitar players out there that are not given the respect and the position in the mix where the guitar belongs. So thank you, all you music lovers around the world, for celebrating killer, ass-kicking, soulful American rhythm and blues and rock and roll. Carmine and I and all the musicians in the world,
amen.
Thank you from our greasy barbecue heart and soul.
Absolutely. Once again, guys, we got to thank our very, very special guest this week, Mr. Ted Nugent, for being with us, sharing all these great musical memories, being such a rocker, bringing energy to our show. Carmine, what can I say? Again, I'm the chosen one here. It's my honor to be in your presence. We miss our little brother, Vinny. Yeah. We'll be back next week when we're our artists on lockdown. We're hanging and banging with some of the biggest people in rock and roll. Thanks to everybody. Steve Love for making this happen. Of course, Ben Wheeler. And of course, Carmine Appice for being who you are, a legendary rock star.
Thank you. I'll be calling you, Ted.
Come on, Carmine. God bless you, Ron. God bless everybody.
God bless
America. And we will see you at the Arcada Theater. And Ted, you on the road real soon.
Ciao.
Goodbye, everybody. Thanks for joining us.
God bless you guys.